It occurs to me that the tariff threats are not only threatening China. The future of trade with our neighbors to the north seem rather uncertain because President-elect Trump has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on products coming in from Canada. Several Canadian political leaders have responded with economic threats of their own. Earlier this month on Power Lunch, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, said he would go to the extent of cutting off energy exports to the United States if necessary. Now to discuss her thoughts, Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta and the leader of Canada's United Conservative Party. Premier Smith, it's great of you to join us today. First of all, I note that when you talk about cutting off energy exports, Alberta exports more than $127 billion. That would be 56% of all of the oil that the United States imports, double that from Mexico, Saudi Arabia, or Iran if you were to combine all of that. So when you look at that amount, is that even realistic to cut off, say, Alberta's energy exports to the United States?
I certainly don't think it is realistic, and nor do I think that that would make us a very good neighbor, quite frankly. I have a little bit of a difference of opinion with my Ontario counterpart, and maybe it's because we are the principal supplier of oil and gas to the United States. We know how vitally important it is for American energy dominance that we're able to be a partner in that. The Americans have, you've seen an increase of your production and export to 13 million barrels a day, but America still uses 20 million barrels a day. And so we're able to provide a lot for the domestic consumption, which keeps the price of gasoline low. We've been told that if a 25% tariff does indeed come in across the board, it would increase the price of gasoline by $1 a gallon, which I don't think that American consumers want. I don't think that would be in keeping with the second objective of the Trump administration, which is to address inflation and keep prices low. So we're hoping to be able to talk about how Canada is a great friend, great partner. We have a wonderful, quite balanced trade relationship compared to other nations in the world. And we think that if we took a North American strong approach so that we could get into a position of collective dominance, I think that that's actually a great partnership that should continue. And I hope that we can avoid tariffs altogether.
You sent a message out in response to Donald Trump's truth post about the trade deficit with Canada. And you pointed out the jobs and the way that the energy exports support the price of gasoline in the United States. But also, you pointed out that grain and livestock, which of course go into food costs, which was one of the big factors that we saw in this election, as well as timber, which has to do with building materials. And as you know, housing supply in the United States is rough and hard to come by. And in response to hurricanes and wildfires, those rebuilding materials drive up inflation. All of that, it's a great pragmatic argument. Do you have any sense whether you're being heard from the incoming administration?
Well, I hope we are, because that has been the relationship that Canada's had with the U.S. for some time. I mean, let's face it, our economy is only 1/10 the size of the American economy, but it's pretty remarkable that we are the largest buyer of American products. Mexico is second, and we beat Germany, Italy, France, the UK, and Vietnam combined in the amount that we buy from America. And part of it is this partnership that we have a lot of products that we produce, whether it's livestock or grain or timber or oil and gas or critical minerals. The Americans use that in the value added and creation of products, and then we buy a lot of those products back. And so that is one of probably the most successful trade partnership in the entire world. And I don't see that a trade war benefits American consumers, certainly doesn't benefit Canadian consumers. And I think we'd be much stronger together, especially with this latest move from China to ban some critical minerals, germanium, gallium, antimony. Guess what? You can get those from Canada. You can get one of those products from BC, another from Ontario, and another from Quebec. Uranium as well, vitally important for energy security, increasingly as we're looking at small modular reactors, but also defense. You can get that from Saskatchewan and Alberta. And so we really feel like this is a partnership that we should continue to talk about the strengths and the positives where we both benefit and hopefully be able to avoid tariffs.
So, Premier